made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This episode is brought to you by Clothes for Chiro, Chiro Sushi, Barbara Eaton's 56-day chiropractic bootcamp, California Jam, Move Well University, the Black Diamond Club, Pure Chiro Notes, the Chiro Dex app, Dr. Alok Trivedi, Chiro Spark, Chirogram, Chiropractic Wealth Management, 8 Weeks to Wellness, Integrative Freedom, and Element Mattresses. Let's hustle.
All right, guys, welcome to episode 29 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I'm your co-host, Luke Millette, and here's your host, Jim Chester, to tell you all about today's guest.
So today's guest is Nicole Cowley, and she is a powerhouse when it comes to social media and how to get out there with technology. So listen to Nicole's message and learn and benefit. So Nicole, what is your chiropractic story and what influenced you to create ChiroSocialTech?
Absolutely. So my chiropractic story, in essence, is that I was born into it. So if anyone follows Brandy McDonald, one of the things that she says is that I think she calls us the blessed individuals. One of our close family members is a chiropractor, and we're just lucky enough to have it be a part of our lives. It was just something that was a part of my family and a part of my life growing up. So, I always grew up, my aunt was a chiropractor and both my uncle was a chiropractor. So, it was definitely there in full force. And then in that, I'll be completely honest, I don't like touching people. It's as vain as that sounds, but that's why I didn't go into chiropractic or any sort of health field. Really interested in business and marketing and technology. So I went the financial planning route after high school and circled my way back home from the big city and just kind of went to my aunt and said, I love what you're doing. I've always been a huge advocate. I've, always gone and, been adjusted by you and my uncle throughout my life. Pretty regularly, sometimes not being near home as often. So, right, going times without it, but it was definitely always there. So I went to them and kind of talked to them about different career opportunities because in northern Indiana, in this small town, there's limited availability. And I found myself being overqualified or underqualified for everything that was out there, right? And I'm going, no, I'm not overqualified. I will totally take that job. It sounds great to me. But she had the idea to connect me with their software company. They were utilizing Vitalogics, so I sell Vitalogics software. Now, go ahead and intro into that, but they had known that Vitalogics was looking for a software sales rep, and so they introduced me to that. I was in IT recruiting in the city right beforehand, so it seemed like a good fit, and it absolutely was. So, long story short, that was kind of my introduction into chiropractic and then into the entrepreneurial side of it.
And now I know that you have something going on called ChiroSocialTech, and how does that make you unique in the chiropractic world?
Yeah, so it actually all came about so organically. I started with Vitalogics 3 years ago, and one of the biggest tools that I utilized was social media. And when I say social media, I don't just mean Facebook. I mean Facebook, YouTube, Google+, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and really using the term social media to define your online digital presence. Also email marketing and all of those things. So those were some of the biggest tools that I utilize and that I still utilize, and those are where our biggest sources of leads come from still. And even if it's a referral, it seems to be a referral where then they go online and they search us or they're connecting with us through one of our social sites or online portals. So I overindulged in both chiropractic and social media in the first year. That's what I do. I just dive in the deep end and then I swim back to the shallow end and kind of start, learning how to swim at that point. It's completely backwards in my world, but I get myself oversaturated and I learn a ton. And in that saturation, one of the things that I saw amongst many chiropractors, and one of the things I found myself doing, was becoming a resource, like answering a lot of questions. This is what I've done, this is what I've tried, this is what I've seen, this is what I've tested, and really just in a lot of groups and in a lot of comments, being a resource. So I came up with this idea. I understand online marketing. I listen to a lot of podcasts, read a lot of books, do a lot of studying to make sure I'm up to par with everything that I'm doing as well. I want to, do it the best that I can to be able to leverage it the highest. So in that, I was like, well, I need kind of, a barrier of entry. And I want to be, like, obviously I'm in these conversations of social media. Like, yes, sometimes people are talking about EHRs and we're there when they are, but we also just want to be overall in the technology conversations. So I opened up ChiroSocialTech.com. Actually, today is ChiroSocialTech's birthday. So this is our second birthday. That's when I bought the domain, opened the website, built it in one night, and we were up and running by the next day. But it was, in essence, came out first as a free resource. It was just supposed to be a lead generator. It's kind of like your ebook. It was going to be a way for me to really get in the door and in front of more people, to let them know and make them aware that we have Vitalogic software as an option. And that turned into consults, which turned into consulting, which turned into what is today the ultimate social media chiropractic strategy ball. And it has been a lot of fun. I have to say that. It's been a fun 2 years. And social media just gives me more and more. They're updating, and developing, especially in the last 2 years, since Facebook Live was turned on, and then stories were turned on, and then groups got ramped up. I mean, they are just giving me content after content to continue to teach and share that are helping doctors reach their network in just mass levels. So I'm really, really excited for, how it all turned out. And like I said, it wasn't planned. It wasn't this is what I'm going to do, and this is my goal, and this is where I want to end up. It just all organically grew based upon a need and, solutions being filled there. So.
Well, yeah, everything you say is really, really cool to me, because I've seen your progress, and I've seen how you've kind of come onto the scene, and I've seen how diligent you've become and how you kind of matured and, work within the marketplace. And I'm really proud of you. So it's really cool to see. So I just wanted to flip into another question. It wasn't something that we had scripted, but I know that you said that you're a learner. And how do you take yourself being the learner to then the implementer and then to the teacher?
Yeah, that is actually a great question. So ultimately, to teach something, you're going to get, and here's a good example of this. When I was in college, I went to Purdue University, and this is something that we would talk about amongst college students, but the best professors were the ones that had went into the profession first and then came back to teach. So the absolute, there's definitely professors, and it's not saying on an intelligence level, but it's being able to give that real world experience of it. So there were professors that, would go on to grad school, or they would teach us in grad school, or for grad school, they would go on to get their PhD. And then they would just go straight into teaching finance or teaching, whatever course it was we were taking. And there was a little real world experience brought into it. So it was very textbook. And so that was a big consensus, in college, is we found so much more value out of the professors that had used that textbook knowledge in the real world. So a lot of times you'll hear the feedback or the advice, if you're going to look at a social media manager or an online marketer for your office, get a chiropractor, because they know what you're doing. They've been in your shoes. They've experienced what you've experienced. And so, that's one thing that, no, I haven't done it as actually a chiropractor, but yes, I have done it and am doing it, and I'm deeply involved in it and working with some of my offices one-on-one. So learning it and implementing it is key, because I can't teach something that I haven't tested and tried, especially in social media. All of these platforms are new. So there really isn't a guidebook. There's books and there's podcasts, but those are all just people's own testing and theories of what they put together over basically the last decade. Facebook's only been around for just over a decade. These are all, still very, very fresh, organic new companies, and anything can happen, especially now at the rate they develop, right?
So do you have any mantras or quotes that help you with your commitment and momentum to helping other people?
Yeah, that was the hardest question, I think, for me. I don't know, because I can't keep things into short, concise words, right? I go into big stories with a lot of stuff. So my mantra or quote really is just that it's not about me. And I think too many times we get into business and yes, we need to make a profit. Yes, we want to be successful. All of those things come into play, but ultimately, it's not about you. It's about whatever you're serving, and it's about that end user, that client. And if it weren't for them, then, I wouldn't be in business. So it's not about me. There's a bigger picture, and I try to stay focused on that each and every day.
So as a social media strategist, what would chiropractors be able to accomplish if more of them knew about your cause and implemented your strategies?
CWD. I know. Did you get it? Do you like that?
Chiropractic world domination.
We'll see if Dr. Schubel's listening out there. I really believe that social media channels are just another communication line, another communication method. And so with the way that they're so easy, people are on them all day long. The numbers are staggering for how many people log into Facebook and how many times and how many minutes of their day on their cell phone are spent on Facebook, are staggering and then continue to increase. And now we're starting to get more channels. And that's only increasing people's, what's the word I'm looking for? Like addiction to it, So we're trying to create some addicting behaviors, some habit behaviors, and social media is becoming very much a habit behavior for a lot of household people. And so chiropractors can be there very easily with very little dollars and with nothing else except for their cell phone. It's great. Like, Dr. Jim, it's happened. Jim, it's happened to me. I'm sure it's happened to you before. So, Jim, you have this great setup in this great studio, and it lends to higher quality, and it helps you be able to produce on a different level. But ultimately, you can go live. You can create a podcast. You can create content. You can get chiropractic story, your story, and your patient stories out there with the click of a finger. So the phones are powerful, and I think that that's going to be a huge opportunity. It's just a matter of how we grasp onto it, if we grasp onto it.
Well, that's a really good answer, and I know our audience is going to appreciate that type of answer from you, because I know that you do have your finger on the pulse of technology. And my next question's about, you said 10 years ago is when Facebook came out, okay? And now I know that there's probably some emerging stars within the social media platforms. What do you see as like the next thing that people should be early adopters to, and why?
Well, what's really cool and coming out now, the big thing is these message bots, so the automation and the AR that's coming out. So some things that I've been seeing lately that I'm really intrigued about have less to do with social media per se, and more to do, I guess, with like the content creation or the creative side of technology. And so by that, I mean, creating apps that are going to be, engaging, not just an app where they can go in and get your office address and get your office information, but actually having stuff in there for them to do. And I'm seeing a lot of different tools being created, and AR things being created for like spine modules, and just a lot of cool interactive technology tools that will bring people, bring them hands-on into their chiropractic care. I think the better that people understand things, the more that they understand why they're doing something, the why behind, what they're doing, the higher they're going to value it. And, we want to create chiropractic to be habit forming in people's lives, right? Not like technology, not like social media, but we do want them to start to consider chiropractic as one of their first routes, before drugs or surgery, or just as a general route in their life, as general, good practice for wellness. So in order to do that, it's not just about using these tools to pick off the low-hanging fruit of new patients. That's definitely a strategy and definitely something that you could implement. However, it's about using these tools to engage an audience, to educate an audience, to be a leader in your community, to be somebody that people look up to. Like when somebody thinks of wellness, they think of your name in their town because you've created that content, you've created that conversation, and you own that conversation in your community. Social media can do that for you. Absolutely.
So I think what you're saying is it's not so much finding the platform that's new and being an early adopter of it. It's more of maturing with the platforms that are already out there and learning how to leverage them properly.
And maturing with your content creation. I think maturing with how you start to engage your audience and how you start to use these tools. Yeah, absolutely. Because we're starting to see video organic reach is way down. That has actually plummeted this year. And I'm wondering if that has anything to do with the video watch, which is Facebook's TV option they're coming out with, you may have seen. And I'm wondering if that has anything to do with them continuing to want to push Facebook Live. So, there's, which is in my mind, because Facebook is going to say, okay, if we plummet the video views, then the only way that they're going to pull leverage from video content is to go live with it. So it really helps to push that live. So that wouldn't surprise me at all if, that's a reason. But video views are plummeting. So big thing is going to be content that stands out. That's going to be quality content that engages your audience, content that's well thought out and put together.
So where do you see the chiropractic profession in 20 years?
That was another hard question, right? So one of the things, I have some ideas and I'm definitely going to share them with you, but, I'll definitely come on the podcast and say I always struggle with looking ahead and planning the future. And even saying, how ChiroSocialTech was built. It was all built very, very organically. I'm in a program right now, the Black Diamond Club. You guys probably know Dr. Sean Dill and Dr. Lacey Book, their Black Diamond Club. And a lot of that is, talking about, where do you see this? Like, where's the end goal? Where do you want this to go? And kind of putting things together to get there. And having my, Christian background, there's that saying that you plan and God laughs, right? So we make predictions and then life happens. But so I guess my optimism is that chiropractic is going to take leadership as so many people are looking towards better options and different options. I think people want different answers than what they've turned to before in a much larger sense. We're seeing that with the CrossFit craze, the vegan craze, the gluten-free craze, all of those like big, huge, healthy, take big commitment type movements are really shifting, I think, a lot of people's mindsets when what they think of health and what they consider health and how they consider, spending their dollars to prevent and to keep health. So I think chiropractic has a huge opportunity to play in that. And we have to stop considering ourselves as competitors and start thinking bigger than that. I think so many times we think about the competitor down the street as our main, the chiropractor down the street is our main competitor, when it's really about thinking a ton bigger than that. Because if the numbers are under 20%, then it doesn't matter. There's enough room for both of you if you put your heads together and work together and start to really deeply educate your communities. And that starts at the young ages. So I'm a big fan of, I really would love to see chiropractic, getting into schools, getting into hospitals, being able to treat mothers, being able to treat newborn babies. And I think when we get to that level, we're going to see the tick turn like no other. I don't know if we'll get there or not. That's where I would like to see chiropractic go. I guess it would be my answer to that right now, as you're asking me. But where I really see chiropractic offices, what I do see happening, I see this trend happening in other industries, is people also want convenience. That's why you're seeing Amazon, right, go crazy. That's why now Walmart is pushing this big online store. Amazon bought, Whole Foods, our groceries are going online. That tells you something. People want quick, easy, and convenient. So an overhead is going crazy for brick and mortar. That's what business owners are seeing, right? Your costs continue to skyrocket. So I think that ebb and flow is, I'm seeing a lot of holistic centers and wellness centers, and, being able to go to one place and it be your community wellness center where you're able to get, whatever it is that you need for whatever sort of optimal wellness you're working on. And so that doesn't mean, I want to say very clearly, because I know that there's a lot of philosophy, straight chiropractic listeners of your show, that doesn't mean that you have to start pushing supplements or you have to start doing all these therapies or you need to do X, Y, Z. But I think that at least means considering getting in a location where there's a yoga class, Reiki, where there's massage therapy and maybe an acupuncturist close nearby, or even owning it. Again, chiropractors owning that conversation. And you being the chiropractor, you focusing on the main thing, but you having other options so your chiropractor can just go to you and you're their wellness resource in the community. So I know that's not going to be a favorable answer to some. And again, that's just like my, one viewpoint that I see. It could obviously, anything can happen. That's the way I see the world.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This episode is brought to you by Clothes for Chiro, Chiro Sushi, Barbara Eaton's 56-day chiropractic boot camp, California Jam, Move Well University, the Black Diamond Club, Pure Chiro Notes, the Chiro Dex app, Dr. Alok Trivedi, Chiro Spark, Chirogram, Chiropractic Wealth Management, 8 Weeks to Wellness, Integrative Freedom, and Element Mattresses. Let's hustle.
Well, I love you for being honest, and I think that that's something that a lot of times people struggle with, is just telling people what they really feel and say what they really mean. So thank you for the transparency within that. But you did mention there's some hot topics out there that are, like vegan or paleo or, celiac or whatever. How do we attach ourselves to those movements and say that chiropractic can help those groups?
Yeah, and so it's a matter of just getting in those conversations. So, you don't even have to be an expert in all things. So it's like me, social media. I know about SEO. I can get my feet wet with SEO, but I'm not an SEO expert, right? So I think it's the same thing. I think your patients are going to be asking you these questions, so you at least need to stay updated and informed enough to be able to send them in the right direction. But it's a good opportunity to gain relationships with those people that are local to you. Find a massage therapist that does therapeutic massage that is really, really great, that you would refer, like that you would get a massage from and you would want to refer to your patients. And you can start to create affiliates and referral sources just very organically in your community by going out and learning what they do and learning more about their opportunities and their services. And then you just start sending your patients to them, and it will start to feed back to you when you start to do that. So that's the biggest thing, I think, is, we want to shove chiropractic down everyone's throat because it needs to be, right? That's what we want to do. Let me tell you about chiropractic. But if we can stop and just learn about them and learn about what they're doing, they're going to get very intrigued in what you're doing, and they'll ask, and it'll come very natural and organic for you.
So what are some of your biggest key marketing strategies? What do you find is the best way for you to share your messages with people of your tribe, and how do you get people to find more about what you're doing?
Absolutely. So a big thing that I focus on is just giving away a lot of free content. So I do not focus ever on like, oh, I need to post to my Facebook page. Sometimes I'll go, 2 to 3 days without posting to my Facebook page. And sometimes I'll post to my page 4 to 5 times a day. It's all different. It all varies, but it's around what the conversations are and what message I want to deliver, what I want to teach, what I want to provide. But it's all a ton of just free content and value to help chiropractors with their social media. So if you're considering like, how can I just help people become more aware and more educated about chiropractic as an option to them, then, each and every day throughout your day, you're going to find stories, you're going to think of testimonials, you're going to read articles, you're going to see this research thing, you're going to see this meme, you're, going to say something to a patient like, oh, I wish I could say that to everybody, and that's going to become your social media content. So I think when you really start to connect your internal marketing to your external marketing is, when it all starts to become much more, I guess, authentic would be the best word. That's kind of the buzzword right now. Authenticity. You want to have an authentic social media marketing strategy. But I want to say for chiropractors, I guess the prepared answer that I had for that, because I think you just asked it different maybe than I read it, but the prepared answer I had was, for clinics, I think testimonials and reviews. I think, if you're going to have a main focus, your biggest referral source is your patients, is referrals. So the best way to get referrals is to have raving patients. And if they're going to go and they're going to review you online, they're going to refer you. And also when people refer, it's not as easy as them saying, oh yeah, call my chiropractor, here's this phone number, here's his name, and then they call you and schedule. That's not what happens. They say, call my chiropractor, I forget his name, he's over on this side of town by, this grocery store. And then they go home and they Google and they find you and they do a little bit of their own research. And the first thing they're going to do is check out your reviews and they're going to read some of them. So they need to be authentic reviews. Don't worry about the number of reviews. Worry about, well, if you're looking at SEO and that sort of thing, you want to continue to increase. But ultimately, worry about creating a strategy that encourages ongoing reviews throughout time. Like it's built into your process and they're very authentic. And then like repurpose those everywhere you can.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm going to ask you something that might not be very popular, but what do you feel about other chiropractors giving other chiropractors reviews?
Yeah, so here's the thing that came out recently. So somebody asked this in a group that I'm in, and they said that they came into the office on Monday morning and checked their reviews, and they had like 5 less reviews or 6 less reviews on Google than they did on Friday. And they track it, so they knew. And so I did some research, and Google goes and they do this randomly, and they do this often, and they'll just do a big sift where they're trying to filter through. And so what they'll do is they'll go in and they'll delete any reviews that are from Google accounts that are deleted. They may even delete it, like if it's a husband and a wife and they share an IP address and they both leave a review, they could potentially delete one of them thinking it's a duplicated review. Any accounts that, are just inactive, and they call inactive 6 months. So if somebody hasn't logged into their Google account in 6 months, they're going to deactivate it, which is possible with your patients. Not all your patients use Gmail. Some of them use Yahoo or Hotmail or what have you. Then the other thing they're looking for is reviews that are just not authentic. So if they see, there's a lot of things, obviously they don't give us all of the data and the details to how they do this or why they do this. But if reviews seem salesy, or they seem like they're from someone that maybe might know you, but they didn't actually use your products or services, they'll take them down. So your biggest thing is try to focus on getting organic, authentic reviews about your practice and your services in your community. But if other doctors review you, like it's fine. Don't worry about it. It's not like a big deal, but I wouldn't go seeking for it.
Sure, and I've just seen that across some reviews that I've seen on Facebook where I've seen like docs give other docs reviews, and I'm like, I don't know if I think that that's such a good strategy or not, because we can all toot each other's horns. Like I could go around and review all these docs pages that I've never been adjusted by.
Exactly. And so here's the thing is, people do read reviews. That's why reviews are huge. That's why there's Yelp and Google reviews. That's why they bank everything on their search results on reviews, because people read them. People actually look at them. And it's not hard to go through reviews. And if you read a couple, especially if you see a clinic, like this is the best. When you see a clinic that just opens up and they have like 60 Google reviews, and you're like, wait, I thought we were at their grand opening. How do they have 60 Google reviews? Like that says, like it comes off scammy to a person. They're like, okay, they're just tooting their own horn, like way too much. Like, why are they pushing this so hard? They're not even open yet. Obviously, none of these reviews are authentic. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
And that's like an extreme example. I don't think that maybe ever even really happens. That's why I wanted to go there, so I didn't offend anyone necessarily. But, people can also read reviews, and they can very specifically tell if you went on campaigns or contests to get reviews, or, if it wasn't an authentic review, or if it was somebody that was from out of town or something in that nature. Something else I learned, it's also actually against Google's policy for your employees to review you. I didn't know that. So that's something that I learned very recently. So I always thought that was a good strategy. Not a good strategy. Those will also get removed. So work on getting just reviews in your consistent process. So maybe after your re-exam, you send an automated email getting a review from that person, or maybe after your re-exam, you determine if you want to get a review from that patient at this point or not. And then you can have a saved email. And like if you use Gmail, you can save canned emails. So then you could just pull up your email after the visit, or your staff can plug in that canned email, put their name in there, and pop them an email that sends them a reminder with the link. Because again, people need easy, people want convenient. It's not that they don't want to review you. It's just that life happened and they forgot about it, honestly.
So what's your absolute favorite app or technology to keep you engaged with your audience?
Yes, so I mean, like the obvious answer to that, okay, is Facebook. I mean, that's my favorite app. That's how I engage with chiropractors, is on Facebook. But I wanted to give you something a little different than that. So what I'm going to give you is just like my every single day, the 2 apps that I use no matter what, every single day. Actually, I'm going to give you 3, are Canva, C-A-N-V-A, canva.com. There's a software and an app. You can create images very, very easily. It's very robust. You can create flyers. You can create Facebook ad images. You can create multiple images and put those together into a video. There's so many options in Canva. The other one is going to be LastPass, LastPass, and LastPass actually is a password storage, and it shares your password, and it encrypts and gives you one of those, really long, funky passwords, so it's harder for it to get hacked. But what I love about LastPass is you get a lot, once you start doing social media, and you have all these accounts, and you have all these third parties in your email, I mean, it gets to be a lot. And you do want to stay secure online, especially being a healthcare business. I can't even tell you how many of my clients have generic passwords, like very generic passwords, like Gonstead123. I'm like, no, like, let's not do that. So, definitely consider LastPass, and then it helps you manage and store those, and access those easily. And then the third one I'll share with you, so Canva, LastPass. The third one is Hootsuite. You can utilize Hootsuite for free or for a very, very nominal rate of $10 a month. Doctors, $10 a month, that is nothing. Okay, that's like a Starbucks a week. It's not even a Starbucks a week. You can even get 2 Starbucks a month for that. So $10 a month, you can add your social media accounts into Hootsuite, and you can disseminate a lot of content. So, I really, really recommend creating original content, creating high quality content, and then like pushing it out there everywhere.
So this takes us to the next question, and this goes full circle back to the whole idea of studying, implementing, and then teaching. What do you do to like feed your brain? What are you listening to? What podcasts are you into? Do you read books? Are you into ebooks? What kind of fuels your mind to like get creative?
Yeah, that's a great question. All day, every day, almost. So whenever I'm not in meetings or on demos, I try to have something going on. Love Audible. I absolutely love Audible. I've been reading the Habit books, The Power of Habit, and then Habit Performing. I can't remember the second one that it was called, but I've kind of been in that trickle lately. You can get through an Audible book in no time at all. If you listen to it in the car, while you're cooking, while you're cleaning, I'm wife and mom, so I'm doing a lot of that and, consuming a lot of content at the same time. But I'm a podcast junkie, iTunes. I listen to a lot of social media. So I listen to the Social Media Hour. It's a Buffer podcast. I listen to the Social Media Marketing podcast show. I listen to Amy Porterfield, Shalene Johnson. I listen to the Story Brand podcast, which is really great. And then I do try to keep up on chiropractic as well. So the Chiro Hustle podcast is in there. I used to listen to Dr. Ed's podcast quite a bit, so he stopped doing that. Dr. Don McDonald has a great podcast where he does interviews that I listen to quite often. But yeah, I'm constantly consuming content. And then I will subscribe. I am one of those that gets about, 200 junk emails a day that are things that I subscribe to just to kind of see their email copy, check their links. I get all kinds of social media daily emails with updates and what's new and what's happening and what's launched. So I really do. I want to stay on top of it so I can deliver that to you. And so you can be first to the gate, because the thing is, too, if you are first to the game on some of these things, it's going to help your content stand out in the crowd. So, we're always trying to roll out like stories and lives, and that's why you see me a lot of times, like I'll say breaking news, because I want you to go first with it. So people are like, whoa, what is that? Did you see what that chiropractic office just posted? How did they do that? And then that's, the type of stuff that starts getting people to talk.
Well, Nicole, this is the part of the show where we ask you for any website links or Facebook channels or whatever you want people to know so they can find you and your programs faster.
Yeah, thank you. So I try to make it easy. You can find me any channel, Purdue Nicole. It's Purdue like the school, PURDUE, NICOLE, or ChiroSocialTech. So Facebook, Instagram, search me on Snapchat, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, YouTube. Like I said, I cover them all because I want to be there. I want to be testing them, and I want to make sure that I'm sharing with you not everything, because I don't want to overwhelm you, but what works and what you can be doing in your community with them.
That's so much good information you shared with our audience today. And I just wanted to make sure, is there anything that we didn't ask you that you'd like to share with them?
Hey, no, that was great. I love sharing that. You guys had a great set of questions that you sent over. I'm not going to lie. When she first sent it, I sat a little stumped, like, oh, well, this is different, because I'm so used to just going technical so much. And I like taking a minute back and sharing, the why behind what we're doing and how it all comes together. So, no, I want to say kudos to you though as well. So Jim Chester, follow him and what he's doing, and he's creating quality, original, free content and disseminating it everywhere, and creating a huge audience and a big name around chiropractic and really spreading the message. So I think that you are an excellent, example of everything that I teach. I didn't necessarily teach Jim, right? So what I'm teaching isn't necessarily unique to me, but it's, a matter of putting it all together and utilizing all the tools to benefit you. And you've done that very well. So kudos to you.
And thank you so much. I just tell everybody out there, from my perspective, is be the most consistent in the game and you'll keep winning.
I love that. I'm going to steal that. That's my mantra now.
Well, thank you, Nicole.
Thank you so much, Luke and Jim. We are recording this just a couple of weeks before Christmas. I don't know, they might cut that out. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but happy holidays. I hope everyone, when you're listening to this in the new year, that you are so rejuvenated and this really helped you kick off 2018. Reach out to me with any questions. I'd love to jump on a free complimentary consult and walk you through anything or talk through anything in more detail. But thanks, Jim. Thanks, Luke.
Thank you very much, and happy holidays to you, too.
Absolutely.
Have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.